So thank you guys for coming. We're doing 2 up here in Siskiyou. I was trying for 3, but I didn't have enough hours in the day. But since you guys have such a large county, I was trying to make sure we could connect. I actually grew up in Siskiyou in Doris, and my husband is 5th generation there. So we moved to Alturas about 20 years ago, which was a big deal. But we still have family there, so I'm gonna cruise through there and say hi too. But we're doing town halls in every county. So Assembly District 1 has 11 counties. So we go from the Oregon border down to Alpine and Amador counties. So I was in Sierra yesterday and Plymouth the day before, and I am what I call my Eris tour. I'm on tour, so trying just to get to everywhere. So, but it's been really good. I had a great year. We haven't even finished up year 1. I got sworn in December, and so we're just about to wrap up year 1, and we got a ton done. I'm very proud of the team. When you get sworn in, you're not allowed to hire anybody until you're sworn in. But you're expected to have your office open and ready to go, which is kind of crazy and a weird state rule. But so we opened up an office, got everybody hired. We have a district office in Reading that has 2 district reps that you might see at things here and there. Mark and Pork or Cheparaka are there, and then we have a meeting in Jackson, or a office in Jackson as well. So in Amador County at the southern end of our district. We are trying for a 3rd office. We'll see. I have the largest district in the state. So it's kind of crazy. And I am very jealous of those legislators that have like 20 blocks instead. But I also think that we have the prettiest district in the state. So it's not bad when you get to drive through some of the most gorgeous country in the nation, really. We all represent about 500,000 people in the assembly. So it just takes us 11 counties to get there, which is why we live here, right? And then on the Senate side, they represent 1 million people. So Megan Daly on the Senate side has 15 counties. So she has Butte and Yuba down there too. So we overlap with quite a bit. We have Alvarado Gill as part of our southern district on the Senate side. So I have 2 senators with my assembly district, 2 congressmen, Kylie and LaMalfa, and now with Prop 50, I will go to 4 congressmen. The party aside, there's 20 Republicans and 60 Democrats in the assembly, and 10 Republicans and 30 in the Senate. So we're in the super minority. So we have to work a little harder to get things done. I need 21 people to vote with me every time. Plus the party. So it's a lot more of that relationship building, which is kind of what I focus on. I came from the OES world. So I was the deputy OES director in Modoc County. And then I moved over to the County Office of Ed and did safety and preparedness for the schools. And then I was a teacher a long time before that. OES is all relationships. Everything about it is relationships. It's kind of a good way to throw yourself into politics. This is my first run at politics, and I wasn't sure about it, but I love where I live and like people, so it actually has been a better fit. I definitely don't fit in Sacramento, but I don't want to fit in Sacramento either. So because our district is just so unique, so I spend a lot of my time educating them on our why we live here, why it's different, why that decision is going to affect rural differently because it hits us harder. They honestly do not understand rural. We have, of those 80, 40 of the 80 are from LA and San Diego, and 20 of the 80 are Bay Area. And then you have about 20 left that are, not in the big cities, but even the rural ones that represent rural have like Napa or Fresno or Tulare. Like they have big city centers that we just do not. Reading is our biggest city in our district, and then Nevada City, Grass Valley area is the next. So they're polar opposite, right? So we just have different challenges, unique. We also have this thing called winter that nobody else has to worry about. So I am also always adding on, but we can't do that with snow, or electric vehicles are a little different for us with snow or buses or whatever it is. So so far it's went over really well. I have a good rapport with pretty much everybody down there. I say my style is never going to be yelling from the front steps of the Capitol. I don't think you get things done that way. But please know I'm fighting in the background, and I do it in a way where I simply state how this affects the district and why we need not to do it or to do it, because it's that important. I got the most budget asks of any Republican, which was very huge for a freshman. They call us freshmen our first year. And so we got $10 million for Karuk Fire Resiliency Center and Happy Camp. That will be great for staging for wildfires. We got $70 million for Sierra Nevada Conservancy and Tahoe Conservancy for fire mitigation projects on that side of the district. And we got $2 million for wolves for direct loss. It wasn't as much as I want, and I was very upset. I actually didn't announce it for a couple of weeks because I was really irritated that it wasn't more than that, but it's a start. And it was still a win, especially in the fiscal year we were facing. And then our biggest win by far for my whole team was we got tax exemption for all the fires from 21 to 24. If people got a settlement on those fires, they did not have to pay taxes. If they already paid taxes, they will get that back. So that included the Dixie fire, and they had been shot down for the last 3-4 years on that. So we worked really hard to get that through. The governor in January had announced that all fires from 25 to 2030 will now be exempt, which is really the way it should have been. The governor had to do that individually, which makes it very hard. And so those LA fires really did change the narrative on fire. You know, we've lived fire. It's our norm, sadly. They had not. So it made it real for them, and it really changed the conversation. I don't know how much you pay attention to our committees and stuff, but I talk about equity a lot with fire because it is not, the response that they got in LA was not equitable to what we received up here or anywhere in the North State, really. So I did a lot of using that language to benefit rural. And I do believe that's why we got that tax fire exemption funding, was just because it would be hard for them to say no after all of that. One of the big things that we do is we bring other legislators to our district. I think that's the best way to teach them. We actually do a forestry tour here in Siskiyou every year. They've done it for the last, I think, 30 years. And so I get to host that now, and it is so eye-opening for my colleagues. We brought up, I think there's 8 inner LA folks in May, and it's kind of cool to see your district through eyes that have never seen it. It's like taking a toddler to Disneyland. Like they've never seen Mount Shasta or, you know, an eagle. They saw a bald eagle. They saw a deer. They called the deer a reindeer, which was, there was a lot of education that came along with it all, but they'd never seen a river, like a natural river, because they have canals and they're gross, you know. So it really did change the way they thought of forestry, and they actually went back and put some bills through that were great for us. So this year we're going to do it in Chester. They're going to start rotating back and forth. So we're going to work with Collins Pines and tour that. It's been more like SPI focused, but we go to the mill in Bernie. We do a biomass plant. Talk about fire. We take them to fire scars. That's a big one because they've never really seen that, and especially the recovery process after, of, you know, what a healthy burn looks like and what a not treated forest looks like after burn. So it's one of my favorite things to do. We're trying to do a recovery piece and take them to Greenville because they're really complaining that LA is not going fast enough. And we went down there on day 90 to tour, and they had 1,000 lots cleaned. And you guys know how long those lots take to clean. I don't even think we had an MOU in place for Mill or McKinney. Like all the fires that I had worked, we didn't even have, you know, MOUs in place to coordinate the transportation of the hazardous waste by then typically. So theirs is going faster. I'm hoping that it's kind of an overhaul for all recovery and it'll get better in the future, but we'll see from there. We got 6 bills signed by the governor this year. I tied. I didn't win that one for the most, but he had one that he didn't sign that got on his desk, and we had 10 that went through the assembly. and then got stuck on the Senate side. So the Senate likes to jam up bills a lot. But they were all very district focused. We had, one of them was OES, to have county or city OES be able to drive code 3, because they were, I think, being in that world, they were already doing it, but yet didn't have the training they probably needed to. So it gives the city and county a little less liability and make sure that they have the training they need. We had an administrative credential for education that was so that the COE or the district can run their own like internship program. You have to do hours on the job for that. And you only have like 3 years to get that job. So a lot of our people were having to move away if there wasn't a position near them or in their town. So it'll just help us kind of grow our own. Let's see. I think that the rest of them are kind of probably boring for everybody, but I am the vice chair of emergency management and sit on ag, business and professions, which is kind of scope of work practice stuff, insurance, which we'll talk about insurance too. Budget, I was on education, so we did all the school stuff. We did get $20 million for Plumas County because they went into state receivership. I know you guys have quite a few districts in your county that are on that list of maybe needing help. That was a very interesting presentation for me. 4 out of the 7 that needed help this year were in my district. And there was 14 on another list. So very scary. I actually spoke up on that one and said that, all these communities have 2 things in common. That one, they were all plagued by huge fires. And the other one was they all used to be mill towns and they used to have industry. And this is what happens when we have policy that hurts rural. So it was enlightening for my colleagues because they were talking about schools as if we have another one 10 minutes away, 20 minutes away, and we don't. And so one of the questions they posed was how small is too small? Like, should we be closing a school that has 20 kids? But that's really not the question. I asked the question, how far is too far? Like, how far do you want to bus these kids over a mountain? Because the next school over is about an hour and 5 minutes, and we have winter, and they're not used to that either. They were all from down south. So it's very, we never know what we're going to talk about. We never know what we're going to learn about that day. It's very exciting that way, but it's never dull. But it is definitely hard because they just don't grasp what we need and how things affect us. I would say our 2 biggest issues this year, wolves and fire insurance. Definitely. We're working on fire insurance. That was by far my most frustrating committee because they just don't have answers. And I wish I had some dream answer that was going to fix it. I don't. We always take ideas. If you guys have ideas, please let us know. The one thing that I did get after several meetings with the director of the fair plan, if you know somebody that's on the fair plan and either around their house burned already, because that's not something they take into consideration when they're making your estimates or proposals, and if you've done home hardening, like you've switched out your roof or trimmed your trees or all that, you can send those to our office and they are looking at them individually for us. So they've already helped, I think, 4 or 5 people get a cheaper rate because they were doing those things. We're trying to implement that statewide. They don't have the capacity to do that right now, but they did pass a few things that will give you like $300 off a year if you are, doing certain home hardening stuff that will go in effect here this next year. What else? It's probably going to go up still, which is never what people want to hear, but I don't want to tell you it's not. It's probably going to go up another 15% is what they're guessing, which is crazy. I mean, we get calls every day, multiple calls a day, of people paying $15,000 a year, $20,000 a year. Like, it's crazy, and it's running people out of the state. We really need some new leadership there to help. You'll probably see something about getting people off the fair plan because that's how you get the market to kind of balance back out with the private sector. Right now, people have been on the fair plan for 20 or 30 years, and it's supposed to be like a last resort and not for ever. So most states that have that have a plan where they instead of renewing, they might send them 3 private quotes, and if it's within 10% or 5% of their policy, then they would be forced to switch, and that'll help kind of balance out the market too. We'll see. They've talked about that, some kind of legislation like that. We're gonna run a couple hunting bills. It's a personal pet peeve of mine that my son's almost 21 and never been drawn in our zone because it's super competitive in X through B. So we want to do some youth preference points to keep our kids still up being in the outdoors and kind of suck them in while they're young. And then some kind of apprenticeship program like Oregon does, where if you're with your grandpa, dad, uncle, that direct line, that you can fill their tag if they got drawn. So we have something like that going. We're going to have some wolf legislation, mostly about transparency and kind of making CDFW follow through with some things. So we're working on language with Cattlemen's and Farm Bureau on that, and some of the leaders in those areas. I think that's the only ones that we're working on some transportation stuff, which we might be on that list. I'll have to check. We're trying to get the minimum, small cities get a minimum of transportation money to fix roads, and we're trying to bump that up to like 200,000. I think it's around 100,000 right now. That's the only one I've like guaranteed we're doing, and we're working with a couple groups on that one. I think that's it. But really, I just wanted to come and say hi and tell you how much we got done and take questions and see if you guys have concerns that I can take back. I just want to make sure we're always connected and fighting for the right things down there. Hi.
Hi, my name's Colette. Thanks for coming out.
Absolutely.
I wanted to go back to the fair insurance because I have some friends who recently got their home insurance canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And so you were saying something about the hardening and
The home hardening. Yeah. So that's like if you, like they say now, not to put wood chips next to your house, or if you had bushes or trees that were within 5 feet and then within, I think it's 20 foot. CAL FIRE has all the measurements on their website. Some of that can help with your estimates, but it's for the fair plan. So if they got an offer from the fair plan is only fire insurance.
Okay.
So it's not all of what you need, but it is usually cheaper. And it's like your insurance of the last resort. So if you can't get it anywhere else, then they come in and will give you an estimate. It is very expensive, just so you know.
That's what they were saying, yeah.
And but we can, if they have that defense, or a guy had a ranch that had burned in the Dixie entirely around it, and they were still in the tier 3, I think it is, the high tier fire zone, and they weren't counting that. There was no fuel left to burn. So we sent that in, and they were able to help them. So it's always worth it to ask, I figure.
Okay.
And the director was very, I don't think they had really thought about it, that we have so many fires here and we have so much fire scar that should be helpful to them when they're giving us estimates. But so we're just trying to relay that and put that hopefully into their policies at some point. But.
So is this common knowledge, or is there like a place where a website you can find out what the hardening?
The home hardening. So you can go to CAL FIRE and look up defensible space, they call it, or home hardening. Those are kind of the two, the most used language, I would say. And the CAL FIRE website will have defensible space. It'll give you the exact, I think it's 5 foot, nothing touching your house by 5 foot. The bark.
Combustible.
Yes. Yeah. The bark is kind of new since the campfire, because they had a lot of starts from the bark getting sucked into the air vents, which is not something everybody wants to hear. I had bark next to my house, and I was the OES person, so we changed that. But yeah, but CAL FIRE's website has really good, and I think if you call them, that sometimes they'll even come out and give you, do a vulnerability thing, like they're really good about being supportive to the community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else?
If you call CAL FIRE, they will.
Yeah.
They come out every year at my house.
Nice.
And done a walkthrough, and then write up, recommendations.
That's awesome.
So all you have to do is call down there, and they'll be more than
That's
happy to
awesome.
send a rep out.
Yeah. They're pretty good about it.
Well,
It's kind of office by office, but they're usually pretty
we have
good,
a
especially
CAL FIRE
up here.
station right here downtown,
Yeah.
so that's a major resource.
Yeah, absolutely.
But one of the things that was on the agenda was, the downtown blight though, and the fire,
Mhm.
and the burning of the Black Butte, cleanup, deadbeat owners, you know, I mean, where are we at that? I mean, you know, we, our downtown is struggling,
Mhm.
you know, ever since we've been clawing back, trying to open up businesses, trying to, you know, keep retail going. And then we have a major setback like that, and all it does is bring blight
Yeah.
to our city. I mean, my question is, what are we doing?
We've got over $110,000 in litigation, started about a year and a half ago. The receivership process is long. But we started that way before the fires. The fires just exacerbated the problem that already existed. So we legally were allowed to push the rubble back onto the private owner's property, but that's the private owner's responsibility.
Mhm.
What the city has also been doing simultaneously is the police department has been issuing citations to get them to clean it up. I can't force them to do it without expending tax. Council's trying to,
But they were already deadbeat landlords and
yeah.
and they were behind the they couldn't foreclose on the building or anything. You can't, there's no legal process.
There is, it's receivership, it's just
Uh-huh.
long.
Mhm.
Like I said, we've got I asked staff to come up with a number, we're at about 110,000 legal bills just for the receivership process. And we got one of the best firms in the state for that, serving.
And what's the time frame for something like that?
5 years.
5 years?
And a lot of people cite Dunsmuir, but we actually ran into Dunsmuir's legal, counsel, and they said they've been doing it, they use the same law firm we do, and they have similar buildings with some of the individuals that,
Right,
we shall not name names, right?
yeah,
You know, but they have also had the similar time frame. So we're not alone.
Yeah, Greenville's having the same problems.
same issues.
So I do promise you, council, before I took over, has been acting on it. It's just long. We're just as frustrated as you are, because our council at the local level would like to come tell you all that they have got it mitigated. They desperately want to tell you that. They're trying.
We're also looking at language to see if there's carve outs we can do for rural communities for recovery, because the state has numbers, like it's all a numbers game, and the number of houses determines how much help they give for that hazmat removal, which is not fair in fires like the mill, they actually changed a lot of the way they did recovery from that fire. And changed it to where they brought teams to the fire instead of working via remote, from Sacramento. But we look for those carve outs. That's kind of where we live legislatively, is how can we do carve outs, make life easier for rural, because we get all of the mandates and then everything, all the funding is by population or, something else that hurts us.
Density.
And we have to do all the same things, which isn't
Yeah,
fair.
I mean, obviously with the mill fire, I think, the city of Wheaton, whatever, has worked with the ownership group and the mill or whatever. I mean, within 2 years now, we're seeing repopulated areas and new homes and,
Yeah.
which raise the value,
Mhm. Yeah.
of everything in there. And so that's promising, it can be done,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you guys have, I would say, the highest percentage of rebuilds that I've seen. I drove through Greenville 2 days ago, and it was better than the last time I'd been there, like a year and a half ago. But still, I bet they have less houses built, and the whole town was gone. It's such a long process, and I don't think the state understands how long it is. I think LA is going to help them realize how long it is, because everybody shows up when there's flames and things are happening, and then
It'll go
then
away.
everybody's gone, and then you're left with this for 5 to 8 years trying to survive. We were looking into a bill to work with the communities, either through the chamber or something for tourism after, as like either a grant program or something where those communities that were hit hard by fire have some extra money to kind of get people to come back for tourism or whatever that looks like, and kind of rebuild those programs or events. We haven't got language or anything. It's the funding. That's everything. I mean, you guys probably saw the news. I think we're headed for another $18 billion deficit. That's what they say it is. So it's probably more like 40. So there's a lot of emotional math, I call it, in Sacramento, and the math does not add up ever. So we're headed into some really big fiscal crisis. So it's going to be harder and harder to get bills passed that cost money. So the carve outs usually are small enough, especially when we just target rural, because it's such a small percentage of our huge percentage of land mass, but not a percentage of people. So it's easier to get through.
So maybe handouts aren't the right answer, but from our perspective, what we can do, there are some regulations that really tie our hands when it comes to serving our citizens. Like something that kind of threw me for a loop is what's the rationale behind restricting the recruitment of officers to 21 years? Little hang-ups like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
wanting a degree or.
I can't wrap my head around that, and making the receiver process a little simpler for us when we can take action on this downtown building.
Yeah.
So that, you want to talk about racking up our deficit, those legal bills and trying to get officers takes a lot of time. And
So I've only had one day this year that I was like, what am I doing here? This is not the job for me, which isn't bad. But it was during a law enforcement bill, the mask bill specifically. And I don't think they know cops like we have up here. They only know the bad, that their bad experience or their friend's bad experience. But they're not supportive of law enforcement, and it's so different from our world because our district is very, very supportive of law enforcement. So it is very frustrating. One of my colleagues is a former deputy, and then one of them is a former CHP, and they're the only ones of the 80 that have actually worn a badge. On the Senate side, there's nobody. So you see all these bills go through that are just awful and not supportive when we already have recruitment issues, and fire's kind of the same way. They give them a little more grace, but it's insane to me that the attitude towards it, and also the punishment, right? The jail, the crime. They don't want criminals paying for their mistakes, and that's really hard to sit back when I know the owner of that store that's lost, $1,000 a month in product because they can't do anything about somebody walking out with it or that kind of thing, or them not funding Prop 36, or it's hard. It's hard to watch. That was my only day though, and I was out there pacing, and we have like security, and they're all like former CHP, and they were out there, and they're like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." And my staff was like, don't say anything, because I had bills on the governor's desk. And it's very much, if you say something, sometimes things don't go through. So, but that's not bad. One day out of the whole year. So, but it is something we're trying to also introduce them to the ones that are doing good and trying and, really representing their communities. And so hopefully we can change some minds. My local sheriffs all come down pretty regular. Sheriff LaRue's down there quite a bit. We've been really trying to fight the illegal grow stuff and tag it from the environmental impact. We actually had a tour all set up, and the governor was going to come, and I was so excited. And then I signed a letter asking them to investigate him, and he canceled on me. So hopefully we'll get that later. And I shouldn't have signed on that letter, but lesson learned. So. But we are hoping to get a bunch of legislators up here and the governor and all those, the Secretary of Natural Resources, Secretary of the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, all these people that make the decisions, because I think if they can see it, it will change the way that they're attempting to fix the problem or the lack of attention to the problem.
Have you been up to Shasta Vista?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's the Wild West.
It is. It's crazy. Yeah.
Sanitation.
Yeah. The environmental damage is.
Yeah.
The sheriff's come down and done a couple presentations for the chairs of the committees and stuff, and brought pictures, and just the Google aerial map of where no greenhouses to thousands of greenhouses, it completely changed their mind, and they're all in. It's just a matter of getting them all in at the same time and what that looks like legislation wise. We're trying to get money for it. That's really what I'm trying to do. Cause it's also like a phenomenon that it's on private land, not the Forest Service. So
But isn't it?
really hard to clean up.
Poison the land like that?
It is,
Like,
yes, it is. So that's
Why
That's
did that
the
in my
impact
yard,
we're- yeah.
you know,
and you guys are on a priority watershed and on the river that I made sure
So
they
why
knew
can't
led
the
to
sheriff
them.
do something?
Huh?
Why can't the sheriff do something?
They do like 180 raids a year. So they're trying. I think it's just so over what they can, the capacity that they have. So they need that state help. They've asked several times for like National Guard or something to come and they've been shot down. But so we're pushing it on the environmental side because that's the side we know both sides can agree on.
Well, shouldn't the current administration be interested in the drug industry and the situation as it is? You know what I'm saying? I'm being
Yeah.
a bit sarcastic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
They
saying?
should be, yes,
I agree.
absolutely. It's, yes, they should be. That's about all I can say about it. But
I
yes,
mean,
they should be.
considering
Yeah.
how those teams are working around the
Mhm.
country, those
Yeah.
ICE teams.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, anyway,
They, on both the state and the federal level, they should be more
absolutely.
worried about it. And the ripple effect of it environmentally is awful. I mean, they have chemicals that they don't even test for in this country because they've been banned for so long. Like, it's crazy.
Is it
But-
okay to just clarify that there is, tell me if I'm wrong, a Chinese cartel there besides the landowners there that
Mhm.
have been participating in this for a long time, but there's also another element there.
I
This is what's
Yeah.
rumored to be true, that we actually have a Chinese cartel, that's where those Chinese chemicals are coming in.
I don't know that
And
it's
that there
cartel,
was-
but it's definitely funded well.
And that there was the two, call the other one a cartel too, that's the
Yeah.
wrong word. That they were fighting each other in June when we had, I don't know how many fires in Juniper Valley in 1 month, maybe 5 fires, that they were putting
Yeah.
each other on fire.
I don't know the details
Well,
on that one, but there is a lot of rumors that swirl over it all.
People around
Yeah.
But there were
Yeah.
a high number of.
Yes,
fires, so-
yes, there are, and
They
that's
were-
that's something we also talk about because it changes the way you can fight fire, and none of them have ever even thought about that. You have to pull off because you can't go. You have to be
Can't
cleared
breathe it.
for safety.
Right.
Yeah.
Or
So
you're getting
a lot
shot.
of our big runs on fires have been grow impacted at some point. So
I think what she's referring to is the Hmong's.
mhm.
They're not Chinese. They're
They are,
Vietnamese.
yes, they are.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
well, there's two different groups then.
I think
Like
there's a lot
each
of
other.
demographics in that area, which I don't know how much proof they have what is what. So, but it is organized and well funded, right? So that's a problem.
Right, it is.
It makes
they're
it
not
scarier.
cartels, they're tongs.
And
They're
by the
long,
way,
long,
they're
violent
producing,
crime families.
Yeah.
And they've been up there controlling and buying property,
Mhm.
paying for cash.
hmm
There's a lot of businesses that are profiting
Yeah.
locally. So there's
From all the
another
money, yeah.
huh?
So that makes it that does make it a
The-
challenge, yeah.
amount of fuel,
hmm
propane, gasoline.
Water,
Water,
yeah.
and what about a
Soil.
toxic product?
It's
They're
completely a
producing
toxic.
a toxic
Yeah,
product, where is those product going to?
Some- yeah.
Americans?
yeah. Sometimes in a dispensary, it just depends. So that's part of the.
Not our dispensaries.
No, I think they're usually shipped out, but I don't know.
most
Yeah,
of them are,
Definitely the
but
poor
they're-
Americans that don't
Yeah.
have any access to.
they're most of
Yeah.
their, that's why one of the other things, most of their product is shipped east
Mm,
by themselves into other Hmong communities
Right,
in, as far as Detroit, New York.
right.
I mean,
Yeah, it goes
it's
all
a-
over.
New
It's all over
Jersey,
the,
right,
you
yeah.
know, the
We just,
market up here is so saturated with
Yeah.
growers that they can, by shipping it, they can make 5 times the amount of money they
That
can
makes sense.
by the local market.
yeah,
So that's why they don't flood the local market with it, so a lot of people turn a blind eye to it because, well, it's not
It's not-
nitty.
Yeah.
not in our backyard.
That's horrible.
Well, we're definitely not turning a blind eye. We're trying to get them support, get the county support as much as we can, and figure out a better solution. We had a meeting with the sheriff, with the chair of public safety, chair of natural resources, and the chair of environmental safety and toxic materials. And they are all in to help. We're trying to figure out what that legislation looks like, whether that's increasing penalties on the environmental part, making things felonies, that kind of thing, or fines, or not allowing certain things on the land, whatever that is. We're trying to find a solution that's actually practical and will work for the area.
I'm gonna reiterate back to what I said earlier, since you're in debt as a
Yes.
body.
Yes,
Um,
always.
Then maybe the best approach is first, let's loosen the things that are restricting us. Like, we have some high performing officers here in our own department that have won accolades for trying to reverse the trend of this trafficking stuff.
Yeah,
We need more officers.
yeah, we're working on that too.
And so what's the point of increasing the penalties?
So the state has a program for that, but the county isn't, because you guys don't have a dispensary, it makes you ineligible. So we're trying to actually do something through Humboldt or a neighboring county so that you can be eligible for those grant funds. And that's what they use for enforcement. So
Well,
the state sees that as a Siskiyou problem, not their problem, which I don't agree with. But so we're trying to find an exemption or find some way around that too. And the department's been actually really good to us about it. Cause they realize what a big problem is too. They come up once a year and do a raid here and there. There'll be a press release and then they're done, and we need more than that. We also need them not to be able to buy that land over and over and over. So we're talking about conservancies or how that works, or if we can put it in the trust with the county or something so that that land just goes back to the county and then it's auctioned off and they get it even cheaper. And it's just that cycle. We're trying to figure out how to break the cycle, I guess. But it's going to be a long haul and we need lots of money to clean it up. That's really where we're at.
Can I just say that as far as the growers out there, besides the environmental, the biggest threat is that they could start a fire at any time.
Yeah.
And that in this area, after what we've been through and the conditions, it should be a priority that danger is removed.
Yeah. We actually had a bill it got hung up in public safety, to make burning, if you started a wildfire and you burned more than 500 acres of forest, that it would be a felony and an add-on. And they denied it. And we even went through the Dixie Fire and said, this guy only served 4 years and 3 months or whatever it was. And do you think that's enough for 1 million acres? And they absolutely agreed with it. So that was plenty. And that, yeah. So it's a very difference of opinion on what crime and punishment is right now. It's very hard to get more punishments through.
On a different topic,
Okay.
is there anything you can do to sort of help talk our city government out of selling our library?
Oh, I don't know.
Let
Yeah.
me tell you a little bit about.
Is
our
it a city library or county library?
It's the Weed Library building
Okay.
here. It's part of the county system, but the building's owned by Weed. And they want to sell it to a pharmacy.
That's not correct. There's been no official,
Well,
there's been,
okay.
so we were, I do want to correct it because the facts are, sir, that they've put it on surplus. It has been approved for surplus, but the rest is rumor. We did have somebody
Can you
approach.
define surplus?
Yes, surplus is allowing the city to have entertain the option to sell it.
Right, so back to my original question. Is there anything you can do to talk to this gentleman and the other people on the council to not sell our library? It's the third busiest library in the county. It serves the poor, it serves the rich. It's got a great drive-through because it's an old bank. It's kind of a unique building. And there's plenty of vacant buildings now, even vacant lots on Main Street that are burnt down. You can do eminent domain, you can help with eminent domain. They can put their pharmacy to help bring pharmacy to those here that need it without taking our library away and putting us in some crappy building that is not accessible and makes those people work in black mold and all that other crap that's going around in downtown Main Street buildings. The library is very important to
I
us.
know, they didn't
It's
sell,
extremely important.
if I may, they didn't sell it. There's been no offer to sell
I
it.
don't wanna wait till you do. The fact that you're even putting on surplus, to me, sounds like it's surplus, it's not,
It was posted
necessary.
as part of the agenda for
it
today's
is
meeting.
necessary for
And it
us,
said,
for everyone in this community,
The
whether you have
agenda
a
that I read.
child or whether you can't afford internet, you can go there and get your email.
I can't say I'm a huge supporter of libraries. I actually wanted to be a librarian when I was a little girl.
And you're a former
Um,
teacher,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So you understand.
They
the
are
plight.
very, very poorly funded. Very poorly funded, and librarians are very hard to find. We actually had to find one in Alturas, and it's very hard because they have to have master's degrees and all these other things.
Yeah.
But I will
Yeah,
talk
but
to him.
smart,
I don't
be
know
a
anything
librarian.
about the situation, but
It
I will.
makes sense,
yeah,
right? If you're gonna
yeah.
be,
But I will absolutely have a conversation after.
please
okay?
do, because we need our library, and we don't need it to move.
But I
It's
want,
fine
I do
with-
want to state that council has specifically and publicly stated that the library has not been it's not for sale at the moment. It is listed as surplus, there's been no decision that has been made. And that is the official statement of council.
Well, why
They're not
doesn't the
shutting it
council
down.
just say, you know what, we're gonna keep our library building because we like it and we want our citizens to have a good library building? Why don't you go on the record for saying that, instead of saying some surplus this and bullshit? Pardon my
Sometimes,
French, but that's what it is.
Sometimes
You know
it-
that.
yeah, sometimes
You
it's-
live in this parlance of
yeah.
that kind of
It's-
speech.
well,
Sometimes it's
it's,
strategy
you know,
too.
Well, right,
so
and so
it-
that they can
yeah.
tell the building,
Well,
you know,
no,
like, oh, you know what?
No, because
Sorry,
it affects
it's
it
tough.
affects insurance
I-
and liability and all kinds of other
it's
things
not,
too.
but it's not just about insurance. We don't have a pharmacy. So,
So we're gonna give up the library for
No,
farms.
it's a matter of finding where to put the pharmacy and where to put the library. There was talk about a pharmacy opening up, because the other end of it is that people have to travel to Mount Shasta or Reading.
Yeah, I'm very well aware of
So,
what I have to do to get my
and the
meds. Thank you very
The
much.
council is getting beat up over that too, so the question is, where are they gonna put the pharmacy and where are they gonna put the library?
I don't know of anybody that's asking for that library building to be turned into a pharmacy other than the pharmacy wanting to buy it.
Pharmacy is the most requested thing in the city.
Yeah, right, but are they, okay, so are they requesting that they take the library building?
No.
When you got 80% vacancy on
What's
Main
been
Street?
proposed is a potential pharmacy, physical therapist, dentist, and counseling services, 4 things that the city needs. So if you can have 5 things instead of 1, that's what.
That is such bull, because
And
a
the question
library
I have
does
is
more
how
than
much money
supply
have you
books.
donated to the city?
It educates
to
our
help fund that
children, our
library.
future
How much
generations.
have you contributed to the city to pay for that library?
Or time. How much time have you
We
donated
are-
to volunteer?
We
in
as a
the local
community are
library?
spending 7 times more than any other community on their library.
You know how much I'm with the library?
Did you volunteer time?
So I volunteer
Oh,
time, I
hang on,
volunteer my
hang
time.
on.
So I'm all
I
about
don't have to
local
volunteer
control.
for
So
the
that's
library.
a
The
local
library
issue.
stay where
Yeah.
it
You know
is.
that most libraries in this county operate on volunteer.
I do know that, I'm
Not
quite
a big
well
library.
proficient with our library, if you don't mind. I don't have to volunteer there
Oh,
to understand the importance of the library.
and council's not denying that. The only discussion that happened is there was discussion about it, but no decision was made. It is still an open discussion because they are listening to your perspective as well.
I hope so.
And so no decision has officially been made because there was such strong support, even in our our surveys that I just did, shows a strong support for the library. But the other part of that is that 33 out of 90 something submissions in the survey that I did, 33 of the 60 that submitted them didn't know the library existed. So the other thing that we've been doing is I just got a flyer from the Girls Catherine a couple days ago. I'm gonna blast the public through the utility bills to let them know the library exists. And council has emphatically stated publicly that they are not shutting down the library. That we want a pharmacy and all the other stuff that the chief just said. So yes, we are trying to balance all of those things because those are all needs. But like you said, we've also got 80% vacancy rate and places to put it. We're having a discussion.
and is there, a corporation behind the pharmacy that's shown interest?
Well,
is
I
it-
mean, yes, the health center
Yeah.
did, at one time was in discussing it, but no decision has been made and no offer's been made.
Yeah, like CVS or somebody's not.
They're all,
trying to come
they're,
I don't know.
they're
I don't-
clothing stores, so.
I
they're
don't
not-
know, no, it's a weed health center and the
There is
company.
one pharmacy currently available in Mount Shasta, the CVS.
Yeah.
It's a converted gas station. The Walgreens there, or whatever it was, is long gone.
Yeah,
Right.
They're
Rite Aid,
closing
Rite Aid, yeah.
branches. They,
yeah.
they're-
So
Can I
CVS,
correct you on that, please?
sure, please.
Okay, so it's not Walgreens that shut down, it's Rite Aid.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well,
so
and-
Walgreens, Rite Aid, and CVS have closed all over the district. It's a
But
huge
but
thing.
we also
Yeah,
have Mount
huge issue.
Shasta Pharmacy.
I'm aware of that.
Well, you said that there's only one.
That's all my medical provider has told me, and now that's where I currently get my medications. And every time I go there, there's 7, 10 people in line.
And my
They
buddy
can't-
Jason is a full-time delivery driver, so if you'd like, you can have your meds delivered to you.
Well, I have no problem in picking my meds up. I
He's
mean,
saying
that way I
there's
can
two
talk-
pharmacies in Mount Shasta.
Okay.
There's a CVS and there's another pharmacy over by Ray's Market.
So pharmacies are a big focus statewide, well nationwide right now, because there's been so many closings. So also a huge need,
Thank you for
especially
that
in winter, right? And also something you want to drive through for because you don't want sick people all congregating. But it's a local issue, and I'm here to talk about state issues. But if there's,
It was just.
Politics is local.
Sure.
it is. I want it all starting local. So
And I'm happy y'all are here. But I also want to state for the record that in the background, I've also been working with our library gals to find solutions. Normal functioning libraries in other places function off a 501c3 or special
Yeah.
district. So our attorney is currently developing advice for me right now on how I can help them form a 501c3. I also have been talking to patrons about connecting me with other local nonprofits to help me build that board. So we are taking action. And if it's under a 501c3, they can take over the payroll of the library and start the donation cycle that funds a lot of these libraries that you're referring to. And then they can take over the building and I can sign a lease with them. Because right now, CalPERS, I have certain restrictions that I have to adhere to being a member. So that's why they're restricted to 20 hours a day, 20 hours a week. If they're under a 501c3 or a special district, that allows Lake Shastina and other people from all those other districts to feed the library and donate to it too. And they'll also be able to pay their own payroll and be open and have a lot more control over what they can do for you. So I've been doing that in the background in the midst of all this discussion.
If
Because
you need a volunteer board member, I'm willing to volunteer.
let's talk, because that's been one of the things the girls have reported. So I am responding to the frustration y'all are feeling about the library, yeah, but I'm working on solving.
I'm willing to volunteer for that.
Excellent.
Pull it back into the state a little bit.
No.
The USDA, so federal government, lots of reorganization happening, and so thinking about the federal public lands, in the district, and sort of hoping that there'll be a really good response from the state of California to help sort of co-manage those federal lands if that should be needed. I understand that USDA is coming out with their reorganization plans in January. So
yes,
yeah,
they keep pushing it back.
closely, but
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about making sure that sort of regions like yours, districts like yours, have the capacity locally to be able to respond and jump in there to
So
fill the
I
gap.
am asking to be vice chair of natural resources. I don't know that I'll get there, but I'm hoping. But that is, I know there's lots of conversations happening at both levels. We've been privy to some of them. It just depends on if they think to invite us. But I'm hopeful. Fire mitigation is the one thing that I don't think they fund. I mean, well, there's a lot of things they don't fund enough, but it's really like asinine how little money they put towards it. And it's the one thing we can control for fire is the fuel load. And it's just that has not connected with them. So, our Republican caucus really focuses on that. So you'll notice when we talk about insurance, when we talk about affordability, when we talk about recovery, we always go back to that fuel mitigation, because if we were proactive, it would cost us a lot less money at the end of the year. So it's something we push daily down there. Unfortunately, it just has not clicked that this is a priority. We asked for $1 billion this year, and we're shot down. They ended up giving us, I think, 200 million, which is what we got the year before too. And then we went ahead and spent 300 or 400 million on Prop 50. Like, it just, it unfortunately is not in the top priorities for this administration.
I have so many other questions, but one question is, would you be willing to lead a rural caucus in California?
We are. I already
Okay.
am. Yes. Yeah. So it kind of died. And so Megan Daly and I are doing it together.
Okay.
Is
this new or like?
It's very
is this
new. Like,
sleepy?
we actually
Okay.
just wrote the letters to the people we're going to invite. So it will get up and going this year. I'm really pushing to get a staff member for it. Like that, because that would be like make or break for, so a caucus is just like a group of like-minded legislators. Sometimes they're like funny, like they had a Brian caucus because they had like 4 people that were named Brian. They have like the Republican Democrat ones, of course. They have a women's caucus. There's an Irish caucus. I'm in the Native American caucus. That's probably the largest one because we all represent tribes. There's a Hispanic caucus, Black caucus, like there's all kinds. There's an outdoor sporting event or outdoor sporting recreation caucus. I'm in that one too. So they're just groups of legislators that usually fundraise together and try to push bills, that kind of thing. It gives us some backup when we're trying to get things through. But yeah, so rural caucus is one of those things that we really, that was like actually my first week I was pushing it. It just takes forever sometimes down there to get things through. But yes, it is going. I actually have the perfect staffer that needs a job, and I actually have to make a call after this to try to see if we have money for that, but I don't know that we will. But regardless, we'll be doing it. And that's where we want to do those tours, like the recovery tour. We want to do an education tour. And that would be something the Rural Caucus would sponsor for us. Do you have more questions?
I don't want to. I guess I wondered about your legislative package that's coming together. You know, it sounds like you've got a few things that you're already sort of moving forward with. How much in your pipeline you still have? You know, if we can throw some ideas your way.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we keep a spreadsheet all year.
Yeah.
I think we had 90 ideas that we pinned down to like 15. We're in the research phase right now. So when you get one of those ideas, then you have to research it, see how much it's going to cost, who's going to oppose it, who's going to support it, make sure the language is right. I make my staff talk to the actual boots on the ground and the people that do the job, because I think that's very important. And then meet with those groups that represent them too. So we're on that. I think we have probably 8 or 9 that are like for sure, as long as the language works and it's not going to be a huge fight. We have a couple big fights in that, but I have 17 bills left that I can go. We have limits. We can do 35 in two years. So we are running our bear bill again, 1038. I had a bear bill to use hounds again for hazing for bears, and then it gave CDFW the option to bring back bear hunting. It was fought hard. The animal rights people are not the people you want to fight on year one. But we only lost by 1 vote, and we have a couple Democrat co-authors now. So we're gonna maybe do a carve out for Tahoe. We're trying to figure out what that language looks like, because Tahoe was really the ones fighting it because they love their bears. The rest of my district does not want bears in their business. So that's one we're gonna run. It's gonna be a big fight. It just always is when it has animals involved. The wolf ones, we know we're gonna fight. I might have 2 different bills. We're gonna do a public safety clause for the sheriff to be able to do depredation. We've been in meetings where they've said they already have that, and then we've been in meetings where they don't. They say they don't. So it would just give them that backup if something does need to happen. So we probably have a transparency type one, and then the public safety issue one. But yes, we absolutely have room. I have some CWMP stuff that they were talking about. The forestry people, Cal Forest was pitching me a couple things. I'm trying to think what else, but I don't have any forestry ones yet.
Yeah,
so-
I've got some ideas on like wood products, cause
Okay,
I mean,
yeah.
got some grant funding from the state to
Mhm.
sort of bring back sawmills,
Yeah.
across the region. And, California doesn't really have a native lumber law.
Mhm.
And so, like New Mexico does, or Maine or New Hampshire, and there's a few other
Okay.
examples. So it's kind of low hanging fruit. I don't think it'd
Yeah.
be that complicated, but to kind of
Okay.
give a procurement sort of advantage to softwood lumber from California.
We were looking into a biomass like transportation subsidy too. We were trying to figure out that to get, because we really up here, we need a biomass plant like every 25 miles to make it pencil, and we don't have that. So we were trying to figure out that too. But when we talk fuel mitigation up here, we know it's timber. My colleagues do not. They're used to manzanita brush and like brush, in LA. It's not like our big timber. So it's a lot of education. I use my teaching probably more than anything in this job. Some days it's a lot like teaching kindergarten, actually.
This question's it's not about anything we've talked about.
Okay.
So I'm just wondering, because I'm aware that there's a state department that helps fund festivals throughout the state of California.
Oh,
And
do you know about that one?
well,
No,
Is it- Yeah,
I don't.
okay.
yeah, and I think it's coming out of the Department of Agriculture. And the reason why I know about it, I know Oakland has its annual Art and Soul Festival,
Mhm.
and it gets funding, from the state.
Okay.
And so there's a number of us, we've been meeting, and it's kind of a mixed group of people, and we're focused on the Juneteenth Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're trying to figure out how we can get some funding to support, this
Okay.
event. This will be I think it'll be the third year, and it's gonna be out at Charlie Bird Park.
Oh,
So
nice. Charlie,
is there
I
such
love
a,
Charlie Bird. He was
yeah, I know, so we're really excited
Um,
about, and then also because, when Lincoln Heights got burned up,
Mhm.
there was never really a memorial
Great.
that acknowledged it. I mean, 2 people died.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we
Do you
all
have an
know.
approximate cost of the festival?
Give you one.
Okay, so I don't know, so typically if they got funding, it's like a line item, they call them like a pet project, so
Yeah.
some legislator did a request for a budget ask, and we write a letter and say, okay, we want this. And so I do a lot of them, cause I figure I should get extra because I have 11 counties. So I ask a lot, and my staff's always like, that's too many, I'm like, I don't care, they can just say no. But we also got the most in the budget this year. So we can do budget requests on your behalf. And it doesn't have to be just like a government entity. It can be nonprofits. It can be like a festival. It can be a park. We need like I call it like a 1 or 2 pager where
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a summary of what happens, how many people attend or how many people it affects,
Sure,
all of the partners involved.
right.
Anything that would help us sell it to the budget committee.
Well, we
It's
just
very
met-
hard to get new money, just so you know,
understand,
and the
yeah.
$18 billion deficit is not gonna help.
Well, we could put you together a 2-pager that gives you,
Yeah.
we just met yesterday, and, we got 7 months.
Okay,
Um,
but we also could probably connect you with some other groups that help support things like that.
Yeah,
Like the Black Caucus, they sponsor stuff like that all the time. And there's some lobbying firms and stuff that might be able to, especially if it's like $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000, like
yeah, we're probably
not a
looking
ton
to-
of money,
No.
like I think we can probably help you
Yeah.
get connected with somebody, or at least give you a list of people to ask.
Okay, well, we could definitely follow up,
Yeah,
and
we're
get
really
you
good at
information.
connecting people with who they should talk to. That's
Okay.
probably the thing we do the most. We can also write letters of support, so we do that a lot. We usually turn them around in 1 or 2 days for grants, for projects, anything like that. You just email the office, and
Okay.
it's a pretty simple process, but that I feel like is one of the most important things we can do.
Yeah.
So far we are like almost 100% for if it was a
Okay.
state or federal grant or program
Yeah,
we've
well, it's
gotten.
been an exciting process, because people are coming together around it.
Yeah, that's great.
Understand how they can,
Yeah.
contribute, but
Yeah.
definitely will follow up with
Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you guys for coming. taking the time.
Thank
I
you.
have one other.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're
Yeah,
good.
I just wanted to share. Conservation Corps, so there's a pretty rigid definition around what qualifies a local conservation corps.
Okay.
And in order to get certified as a local conservation corps, because in a lot of the grant programs and
They have to be like
forestry
a
stuff,
CCC.
the projects that utilize either the California Conservation Corps or a local conservation corps get some advantage in
Okay.
funding. The definition is like a corps that's 50 members or more.
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. It's really
yeah, we
high.
need a real carve out for that.
Percent.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's just like a little tiny piece of code that just needs to change to give a little flexibility, because there's really only like 13 local conservation corps in the state of California,
Mhm.
and they're all like Orange County and
Yeah.
LA, and you can imagine. So,
Yeah.
so having a little rural equity around, being able to have place-based
Mhm.
local conservation corps. Yeah.
That's a fairly simple fix too. Definitions are
It's
crazy
not
important.
challenging,
It's
and yet,
kind of, it's
Yeah.
nuts how we're trying to get a definition of rural because every sector has a different definition of rural. So we're trying to work on that, and rural versus frontier, because we're more frontier because of our locations of where our communities are. So you wouldn't think it was that big of a deal, but I've had a lot of meetings for just the definition of rural. But
So we're rural frontier.
well, it depends on what sector. The communications use frontier, schools use frontier, schools use rural, sometimes frontier. Hospitals use frontier. Frontiers are a better definition for us because Reading is considered rural. And that's where our Costco is, so I don't consider that rural. That's like going to town for me, so. But thank you guys again. I'm gonna stick around. I'll be able to stick around a little bit. I have another one in Wairika tonight, so we're on the road. But thank you guys. Yeah, and we have a newsletter too every Friday that comes out. You can go on the website and put your email in. It comes out every Friday. It kind of tells you what we're doing. It's not everything because I was putting everything and then made it way too long. So my staff's like, we have to pare it down a little bit because we're a little busy. But it gives you a good idea of what's coming and what's out there. But thank you guys again.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Ryan.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no,
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Good to see you.
Comes down to money, man.
I know.
Everything we talk about, everything we talked about today, money.
I want to give you my card if you don't
yeah,
have it.
and I would love to
Okay.
help with the library situation.
The email's on the website and just say you spoke to me at this event and then they'll make sure they get it. It's but we can, I think we can get quite a few people. If anything.
Please contact me.
Okay, and if I want to let you know that I'm interested in
Dustin?
going
Chad?
out with the
Chad?
library 501.
Please.
I heard the third one.
That's one of the first people.
I know the two Catherines there. I always go through the drive-thru. My dog gets it. Fun little fact.